Why, hello, Internet! My name is Prunk, and today we are going over Labyrinth of Nightmare for our Yu-Gi-Oh! League. Uh, if you haven't been watching, basically with Yu-Gi-Oh! League, we are a round-robin tournament, and we are basically releasing set by set, where players get to control the ban list by earning votes to play. If that sounds interesting to you, feel free to message or comment or do whatever you need to do just to grab my attention so that way if you want to join our Discord and play around with our formats and go week by week with us, we're trying to gather as much people as we can. So if you want, without any further ado, let's get rolling. All right, so first things first, let's take a look at our ban lists. And this is kind of where we're sitting at the moment. So, looking at this, I think the best way for us to go over everything is just talk about what changed in this week compared to the previous league. So we got my nice little cheat sheet here. As you can see, cleaned up the ban list quite a bit with a bunch of cards that aren't really deserving of being on the ban list in the first place, but just desserts: Magic Jammer, Magician of Faith, Maneater Bug, Mechanical Chaser, Trap Hole, Lajin, Neo, the Magical Swordsman, Reinforcements, and Seven Tools of the Bandit are all coming off that ban list, which is perfectly fine. I think Magician of Faith is possibly the only card that I think needed to be on that ban list a little bit, just to be like semi-limited. But all those cards were semi-limited. We decided to just put everything at 3. And I think that's for the best. We don't need a bunch of janky stuff. This is when we start getting to a little bit more of a competitive format. So I think we can start cleaning this up and have a really good time. If we go over to our semi-limiteds, the main things that have changed are Solemn Judgment, which was previously limited, Mirror Force, Swords of Revealing Light, Wall of Illusion, and Card Destruction, which was banned previously, got 2 unbanned tickets, putting it at 2, which I think is fine. I mean, like nobody really likes playing against Exodia decks right now, so that just to be there as like a check is perfectly okay, and it allows like Thunder Dragons to be a little bit more viable, which is they're fun cards. Heavy Storm, which was super banned, is now at 2 copies. We had a lot of people thinking that the card just needed to be live in the format, and I agree. I think Heavy Storm is definitely an important card for early Yu-Gi-Oh! It just makes people not have to commit their whole board to like face downs, and it punishes people who do, so you're not just throwing out a bunch of traps. So you kind of have to like play tempo a little bit more with your resources. So Heavy Storm at 2, it was a very welcome sight for me personally. IO got 1 vote. Messenger of Peace, 1 vote. Cold Wave, Call of the Haunted, and Time Seal all hitting 1 vote as well, all newly onto the ban list from cards that came out from the last set. So I think all that is completely fine as well. Imperial Order can put out some stall, so I'm sorry, Imperial Order and Messenger of Peace can put out a lot of stall cards. We are playing with the erratas, so it is important to remember that Imperial Order is not as threatening in early Yu-Gi-Oh with the errata, and this card just wasn't that viable. So I'm pretty happy with it just being at 2 because it's still an annoying card, but you're ultimately killing yourself with this card over time. You really just have to build around it if you're going to play it. As we go over into the limit cards, new things that were hit or unhit, whereas Acid Trap Hole, which was banned previously, is that one. Battle Ox has made it off the ban list as well. Funny enough, we took Neo the Magic Swordsman and Lajin and Mechanical Chaser all off of the ban list completely. But poor little Battle Ox, he's still sitting at 1, that poor guy. Cyberjar was super banned. A lot of people thought like we can probably try and work together and bring him back at 1, which is great. I think that Cyberjar at 1 in the early Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of a nice comeback card in a way. So I like the card. I think it's pretty fun. We did put Premature Burial, Gravity Bind, 4-star Ladybug, Jinzo, and Mystic Tomato all at 1 as well. All fresh hits. So seeing the Jinzo, I was not surprised. Seeing the 4-star Ladybug get hit twice and Gravity Bind twice kind of shocked me because my game plan this set was going to be playing a little bit more of a stall focused deck. I really wanted to make a certain deck work, and it didn't. So we will talk about that later. As far as the next, let's go back here. Yeah. So as far as the other banned cards now, nothing really changed too much as far as the actual ban list. Change of Heart, Delinquent Duo, and Coffee are still at 0. We did end up getting hit with the Witch of the Black Forest, Snatch Steal, Morphing Jar, Forceful Sentry, finally banned. It was limited by mistake. We just didn't hit everybody's radar. Monster Reborn is still good, and that bottom card's Regeki. It just looks like it's cut off. But seeing Witch go down to a -1 is kind of disappointing. Two people vote, or that would mean that it went from semi. That's 3 votes to get this card out of the pool. I think this card is perfectly legal at 1, and this did actually hurt my strategy quite a bit, but I did persevere and play a really bad deck, and I'm kind of excited to show that off. So with our ban list, where you at? So with our ban list, this was actually a pretty good looking list. The only real complaint I had personally, I just don't really actually have one, to be honest with you. Witch of the Black Forest probably was my least favorite hit. Cyberjar at 1 is nice to see. The stall, I understand why it went down so well, but I'm kind of bummed that this week specifically that Gravity Bind got hit because I wanted to try out something a little bit more uh, janky this week. So this week we did end up adding to our pool Labyrinth of Nightmare and Tournament Pack 3. But let's go over the Labyrinth of Nightmare cards first. Seeing Gemini Elf, I felt like a lot of players would probably opt into playing more of a Earth Beatdown strategy. We've seen just a lot of Earth cards coming out. We've seen some Gaia Power decks. So Earth Beatdown with Gemini Elf, I just expected it to be a pretty meta strategy. And I wasn't disappointed. I kind of expected it. We did get some new trap cards with Torrential and Magic Cylinder, which were pretty much auto-includes for a lot of players, especially Torrential being at 3 is just terrifying. It made sure that you were not overcommitting. There were times that I would just not want to attack or summon an extra monster onto the field because I didn't want something to die specifically. So seeing those 2 cards at 3 was definitely a little bit intimidating. Card of Safe Return, it did come in, but I don't think really saw any actual play this week. This card doesn't actually become good for a little while, which is crazy. But in old Yu-Gi-Oh, there just wasn't that much special summoning from your graveyard. And I think Call, because we don't have Call of the Haunted, really down to like 1 copy or 2 copies, then it just wasn't really worth main decking. Or even just putting your deck, because Monster Reborn was banned too, and Pre-Mat was at 1. So you could have like really 3 options to special summon. That's not good enough to try and draw cards. Dark Necrophere, I kind of expected to see some Fiend decks, so that is a interesting card. It's really good combo with like Giant Germ. We did see United We Stand and Mage Power, which are pretty big staples. Expecting to see with Maha and just Equip Beatdown is what we all expected. Kaiko is the other one. This card's just a staple for every deck. 1800, great stat line, banishes cards from the graveyard so that way they can't be reborn. This card is just incredible. Great stats. Great card overall. Very, very strong legacy card from Yu-Gi-Oh! We also got Bazoo, which is another reason why Earth Beatdown was going to be a thing this week, because Bazoo and Gemini Elf together, ooh, just, it's nasty. Jar of Greed, Heavy Storm going to 2 copies. Jar of Greed really became alive a lot more as well, just because it was a card that you could bait out the Heavy Storm and still get some value out of them. And it was nice to see that card this week with a Heavy Storm at 2. Fire Princess. For those who don't know what this card does, each time you gain life points, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. I was the one fool who tried to make this deck work. Did it work? No, but we'll talk about it. Dark Lord Marie is one of those cards that it enables that deck list as well. We'll talk about that in the decks. As far as some other cool cards, another good card was Gillosaurus. You can special summon this card from your hand. If you special summon this way, activate your opponent can special summon 1 monster from their graveyard. It is a great high risk card. Really, really strong turn 1 if you just want an extra body onto the field, and then you can like tribute summon off like a Jinzo or something big. So really cool card. It's one of the actually good early special summon cards. So yeah, Gillosaurus did come in, and that's kind of another reason to see Earth. We did see Zumbraya as well. Not as much play in this set as I normally see, just because I play a lot of progression series, and this card is always like an auto include because it's a great stat line, beats over Spy. But he actually didn't come up that often, and I think it's just because we had better choices. Zumbraya wasn't as respected as I expected him to be. Aqua Spirit is another special summoning card. Banish a water type. Not really relevant for anybody else besides me. We'll go over that later. Cure Mermaid is another card for me specifically. Like that's you kind of saw like the main ones. Revival Jam, nobody made a deck out of that, which is disappointing. But I think with this card pool here, this is I think anybody looking at this would probably flaunt more towards Earth Beatdown with some of the stuff that we had. Playing those big equip cards, huge swings. So great list, great set of cards. Let's look at tournament pack real quick though. So for anybody who wants to come like say, oh, how hard cards were to pull, tournament pack 3, I just opened 1,000 packs fictionally, and I got 9 needleworms out of 1,000 packs, 999 to be exact. This card right here, it does enable mill as a strong strategy. I don't remember if we saw any actual mill yet, but we definitely see mill coming up with needleworm. But this card being, we pulled 9 copies out of almost 1,000, 1 in 100 to get a needleworm. That's insane. Mechanical Chaser becomes easier to pull for those as well, which was kind of nice back in the day, but not really super relevant for us to how far we pull it. But this card being a new card into our pool, it's just something worth talking about and mentioning that needleworm. It does exist. All right, so on to the deck lists. This was my janky ass thing. It didn't do good, as kind of expected. Um, I attempted to make a Fire Princess deck. I just really like the concept of it. I have played it and done this successfully in Prague series. So I'm like, wait, I have access to every card. Oh my goodness, I could probably make this deck awesome. And I looked at some old deck profiles on YouTube and just tried to study it as best I could before I actually committed into a game. But no, guys, no, this deck does not work in old formats. It never did, and it probably never will. But let's just take a look at the cards. So Dark Lord Marie, this first card up in the top, she basically gives you 300 or 200 life points every time during your standby phase. During your standby phase, if this card is in your graveyard, gain 200 life points. The idea behind this deck is to Fire Princess if she's on the field at the start of your turn. Then Dark Lord Marie heals you for 200 each, so that this would be 600 life points gained, big whoopee. But Fire Princess would then burn them for 500 each time you gained it, which means it'd be like a benefit of like 1,500 life points. Or you would burn them for 15 and you'd gain 6. So the consistent heal was actually relevant and it did save me quite a bit often. But overall, this is just such a slow deck, and all they had to do was kill Fire Princess with any of their live spell cards that were available at this time. UFO Turtle was always the goal to like summon and then special summon and make the last thing that got summoned out was a Fire Princess, so I could get some burn. I did get the full burn strategy done like 2 or 3 of my games, and I say games, not matches. So it was not a good week for me whatsoever. I played Jank with the hope of trying something fun. It was a horrible week. 2 Sangan, 1 Cyberjar, 3 Nimble Momongas to gain some extra life points. Triple Painful Choice. Typically, the plan was always to get 3 Dark Lord Maries and something like 2 other random things in there just to kind of help empty out my deck. I don't know what I could have done to change this and make this deck more consistent. We had Pot of Greed, we got Swords of Revealing Light, we have a lot of stall cards that were available. We had Magic Cylinders. I could have probably popped that to 3 and got like sneaky wins. Messenger of Peace was actually pretty clutch. Solemn Wishes, this card at the standby phase, every time you draw a card, does allow you to gain life points. So again, it combos off with Fire Princess at the draw phase. Then you get to gain life. And one of my favorite things is playing Pot of Greed when Solemn Wishes and Fire Princess out. It felt great. But overall, again, really bad deck. I would not recommend. As for some of the other stuff here, we can look at stuff like this is Earth Beatdown, kind of what was expected. Just we had the Earth a guy who could swing twice. We got Nimble Mangas. We got Gemini Else. We got the Rock Spirit that lets you special summon from the rock. Triple Magical Cylinder expected. Only seeing 1 Torrential was interesting, but really strong equips. He played 42 cards. I really strong list overall. This was a more mechanical. This was definitely more Earth Beats and playing the equips again. You still had the limited removal with Mechanical Chasers, which is interesting because you're only playing 4 actual machines. So 2 limiter removals is a interesting choice. But playing like Magic Drain was another interesting choice as well. I'd rather personally play Magic Jammer, but hey, that's me. But pretty standard. I wouldn't say standard. This is a pretty strong beatdown list. If we go back over to, we did get to see Exodia again, even though card destruction came in. This is the only player I ended up beating. So playing triple copies of every Exodia piece along with Kribo and every stall and draw card in the game. It just didn't end up working for him, unfortunately. This is the only player I managed to beat. I will say, even if Exodia pieces are at 3 copies each, I don't think it's ever worth playing one of each. Like I guess the fear of card destruction is there, but they're just dead draws. They don't actually give you anything. I don't know if you would ever actually play 3 copies. Let me know if you would play 3 copies in the comments, because I just don't think it's ever worth doing that. Another Earth beatdown. So again, just running the. I felt like this was going to be the deck. If I wasn't playing Jank, this is probably what I was going to play. Goblin attack force in here. Gemini elves. Opting to play a summon skull instead of Jinzo was interesting. But triple Gaia power. This is easily the strongest list in here. Um, and then we have another like strong, like just good stuff beatdown deck. Again, just everybody's kind of on this kind of list, and my list did not stand a chance. I will say like the limiter removal, or the level limit B, not level limit B, the gravity bind was very helpful because everybody's playing 4-star characters, but we had a few of where'd you go? Yeah, him playing like the clown engine was interesting here as well. Just playing the one dream clown, I guess like he was afraid of stall, but I don't think that was necessary. So taking a look at the wins this week, we had a couple different players. Matches played. Sparrow was our kind of MVP with the amount of matches played, ranking up at a little bit more than me at 7 games. He managed to get all of his games going. We ended up giving him a super vote for completing a full set against everybody. Super votes are giving +2. It makes a vote +2 instead of just +1. So kind of nice. Um, Overall, Father Genius got 100% win ratio with his 2 games played, which is kind of fun. He earned 4 votes for winning both of his game. I don't really feel like that counts. Lowell himself got what did he play? 5 out of 5, pretty strong turnout. Will M is at about a 50% win ratio. Myself, Prunk, at a 16% win ratio, winning 1 of 6 games. Yeah, this was a rough week. I earned 7 votes though, so that wasn't too bad. Just because I managed to play everybody I could. I wanted to get everybody I possibly could because I just wanted as many votes as I can, and I knew I wasn't going to win many games with this. But pretty strong. So this week we ended up earning 57 votes, which is again pretty much above our average. Anytime we get over 50 votes, I'm pretty happy with how League works, just because I feel like everyone's playing their best or trying to play and make as many games as possible. So really strong week. Very interesting. I do feel like the deck diversity was definitely lacking. Like Earth good stuff was definitely the dominant deck, and I understand why. All the stuff that came out was easily designed for make Earth better, and I think they did a good job. So that's going to wrap up our little recap of Labyrinth of Nightmare. If you guys want to participate, please comment below. We are trying to get a second active league going. We are recruiting players for our existing league consistently as well. So if you want to see more of this content, please like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and I will catch you all next time. Peace out.